it's about holding that vision for yourself and that goal for yourself without allowing it to steal the joy from you on a daily basis. That is how I want to define my business and success is I want to feel as much joy as possible. And that's available to me. That's what's cool about this definition of success is that I can access my joy every single day.
Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host and head coach, Ashley Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz expert, founder of the quantum coaching certification, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. This is the show to help you make magic your everyday normal, where the ripple effect is real and the guest experts are world class. My mission is to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation teachings, business tools, and coaching techniques to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Are you ready for quantum transformation? Let's do this. Hello, my badass manifesting friends. How are you today? I am doing well. I woke up this morning not feeling like P. Diddy, and I was like kind of feeling blah. And so I had to get blood work done. I went out, I put a sweatshirt on, put yoga pants on, put my Uggs on, and I was like in that comfy zone. And then I was like, no, I got to go home and like get myself together. I had like 7 podcast interviews on the calendar for this day, and we had to like chunk it down a little bit. I can't do 7 in a day. That's a lot. So anyway, came home, showered, put some makeup on, put some dry shampoo in the hair, put a cute top on, still had my yoga pants on, and man, what a difference it makes. Not to mention when you put on hoop earrings, I mean, it takes you to another level. Anywho, just a tip for the day. If you're feeling a little blah, take a little body shower and turn it around because you got the power. And that's kind of what we jam about today. I have such an awesome guest for today. Her name's Ashley Looker, and she is such a bright light. She's an empowerment coach. She's a mindfulness teacher, and she helps ambitious, overachieving women slow down so that they can align with their soul purpose, so that they can step out of overwhelm and that busyness and into their joy. Ashley just omits joy. She has a podcast called Middle Finger to Perfection. She has a 108-day happy as fuck habit journal, and she's giving you guys 30 free pages to her journal. And she has a journaling prompt deck, happy as fuck journaling prompt deck, which I have as well, which I absolutely love. So she's pretty awesome in a lot of ways, and she just brings such a vulnerability into our episode. We really get into, you know, what it's like to have jealousy in your business and what it's like and how do you combat the jealousy and the shame that comes up around comparing yourself and, you know, measuring your success up against other people's success. And she sheds beautiful light on this subject, and I'm really excited for you guys to listen to it. So make sure you tag us, give Ashley a follow, download her your 30 free pages. The link is in the show notes, and I know you're going to enjoy this episode. So without further ado, Ashley Looker.
I changed my name last year. Yeah. And well, first of all, don't do that during COVID because it's been a nightmare for real. It's like changed on my social security card, but not on my license. Yeah. So I am officially Ashley Gordon, but I still go by Ashley Looker in my business. So
I can't, when Jenna told me that, I almost fell off my chair. I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah. Yeah. There is plenty of room for 2 badass Ashley Gordons.
Oh my God, of course. Right. And I think it's a perfect like segue into what we're going to talk about. Like, what if someone's doing the same thing as you are? No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have the same name and like, right? Like, yeah.
And we share a beautiful human together.
Oh my gosh. I know. Can we just talk about Jenna Teague the entire time?
Yeah.
Because she's amazing.
Shout out, Jenna.
I know, we love her.
Okay, cool. We'll just dive in. So I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for coming on.
Well, it really truly is like such an honor. I love your freaking podcast. It is so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love yours too.
Thank you.
Yes. So Ashley Looker, and just so you guys know, if you're listening, Ashley Looker actually has a different last name as well, which is Ashley Gordon. So we're both Ashley Gordon, and it's kind of freaking cool.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
We're going to be diving into such a fun, well, not so fun, not so sexy topic, but I think we can make it fun and sexy. Talking all about like really how to like overcome jealousy and shame in your business. And so before we really get into that, Ash, I would love for you to just share your journey in business and like how you've overcome that on your journey of being who you are and where you are today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like it really is a journey and it really is a process. Because it's still even 7 years into my business. That's how long I've been coaching, which is crazy to me. I still deal with the jealousy and the shame and the comparison. But yeah, I started coaching 7 years ago, and started with health coaching, and kind of got into it through my own like struggles with health and stuff. And, have grown and evolved since then. It kind of reminds me like, every level that I've reached, there's like that new level, new devil, like they say, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've overcome the comparison. I feel like I've overcome the shame, and I've gotten to that next point of evolution and growth in my business. And then boom, it hits me again. Right. And so it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I'll tell you the story that like really kind of sparked this whole, like, I need to deal with this like on a deeper level, like this jealousy and shame on a deeper level. So like 3 years ago, I was somehow connected with this amazing woman in my area. She's a little bit younger than me. She's a yoga studio owner, and I got connected with her on Instagram, and I was instantly like, oh my gosh, this chick, she's just so amazing. Like, she's so cool. She's obviously so powerful. She's so successful. Look at her. She's like younger than me, and she owns a yoga studio. Like, how the hell did she do that? And over the course of a few months, I like made up this story in my head about her and who she was. And a couple months later after that, there was an opportunity to do a yin yoga training at her studio. And I was like, I really, really want to, take this training. And I got there, and we just totally hit it off. Like, so much of who she was reminded me of myself, right? Like, there was nothing for me to be ashamed of. There was nothing to like compare myself to. There was nothing to feel like embarrassed about. Like, we had so many similarities. But I had made up this story in my head that she was so much more powerful, and she was so much more farther along, and look at her growing and look at her evolving. But like, what I really took away from that experience is like, she is showing me like what's possible for me and what I am also capable of. Right? Like,
wow. Yes.
Yeah. And
huge.
Yeah, it was so huge. And this came to me here recently, actually. One of the questions that I ask myself when this comes up for me, because it still comes up, is like, what am I making this mean? Like, what am I making this mean about me? Like, what am I making her experience as a badass yoga instructor, studio owner? What am I making her story mean about mine?
Right. Like her success mean about yours. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like it is complete, we have completely different stories, two completely different journeys, and yet here I am all tied up, in her process and her path and what that means about where I'm at on my journey. And so I think, one of the strategies that I have used is just asking myself that question, what am I making this mean? When the jealousy comes up for you, what am I making this mean about me and my success? Yeah.
So good. Such a powerful question. I love that question too. And
Yeah.
you have a card deck filled with journaling prompts. And
Yes.
I feel like you're just like the queen of whipping out like a powerful question. You're like, oh my God, I'm having a breakthrough with this one question. Like they're so powerful, all of them that are in there. Just a side note. But yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
amazing. That's amazing that you could get to that place. Cause I think that so many people get caught up in just look like they're not asking themselves what they're making it mean. They're just in the meaning of it. Like they're just
Yes.
in the shit of it.
Yes.
And when you can just simply
Yeah.
become aware of like, oh, I'm making that mean something. It doesn't actually mean
Mhm.
that.
Yes. Yes. I think it's really important to get clear about, this is a Brene Brown thing. Thank you, Brene.
We
To
love you.
get, we love you, Brene. About the story that we're making up in our mind about a person, right?
Yeah.
And their success and their journey. And this is one other thing. I have several things, but another thing that I've been working on too is like, how do I define success for
Yeah.
myself?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't want to be a fucking studio owner. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's
Yes.
not how I define success.
Mm.
So, one of the strategies that I have used as well is like, how do I define success for myself, and how can I stay on that path? What does that look like for me in my business, how I'm showing up in my clients, the programs that I am putting up out there into the world?
Mm-hmm.
How do I define success for myself? So yeah, that's really important too, because I kind of had to untether, like, okay, she defines success in this way, being a studio owner, doing these yoga teacher trainings and things like that, doing retreats. Well, I define success in this way, right? And then it replants me back into my path and my journey rather than getting all hung up into hers.
Totally. Yes, yes, yes. And I think that most people don't take the time to ask themselves that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, well, and I would be so curious to know too with you, Ash, like,
Yeah.
did you have an idea of what you wanted your business and what success looked like for you, right? Like, I know I didn't when I first started my business. And I think that is one of the reasons why I would be like, well, look at her. Well, look at that. Oh my gosh. Well, she has something that I want, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. And we can get like, we start defining our success based on other people's journeys rather than our own when
Mm.
we don't have it clearly defined for ourselves.
That hits right in the heart. Like that. So potent right
Right?
there. It's so true. And like, I could agree with you. Like, I didn't have an idea of like what my success was. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, when I'm next to Oprah on the couch, I'm going to be successful, you
Right.
know? And okay, so then you're never going to achieve, like, if that's your measure of success, like, sure, it's totally possible, but like, if you're never going to feel like you're successful along the way, you know?
Mhm. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I started celebrating early on in my business everything that I possibly could.
Oh my gosh. That is
It's so key.
brilliant.
It's so key.
Because there are a million reasons why, like, we come up in our heads, like why we should quit and why we're not good enough and why we're not worthy and why we don't deserve the success and where we could be doing better. Right. I feel like as, overachievers, possibly
Yeah.
ambitious goal getters, it's always like, oh, it's so easy to see where we're falling short. So like recognizing where you're succeeding and celebrating that, Ash, is so brilliant. Yeah.
It's a journey, you know. Do you find yourself
Yeah.
able to celebrate along the way, or are you like just are you a generator? I'm curious what your human design is.
Oh, I don't know. I still need to do the human design.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Hit me up with a recommendation,
Okay, I
please, of
will. I
someone.
will.
Yeah. Um, I still struggle with it, honestly. I still struggle with it. Um, I need to be much better with celebrating my successes and where what I'm doing right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just the way that you show up is so powerful. You have so many things that you do, right? Like you've developed your own products, books, like I mean, your coaching, your programs, your podcasts, like there's a lot.
hmm And like it's so interesting because like logically, like I can see it, right? But it's about for me, it's about feeling it and really believing it, right? Like
Mhm.
really, really believing it. And so that's kind of where my work is these days in my business. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think you're alone right now. Like I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of people listening that are like, I'm so with you on that. Like, why do you think
Yeah.
we're so hardwired not to look at that stuff and not to celebrate ourselves and to deeply just like, I don't know, just like disengage from it?
Oh, I think a lot of it has to do with the masculine culture that we live in, you
Mm,
know? Um,
yeah.
I am somebody who definitely it works out of my masculine energy more often than not, which
Mhm.
is all about hustle and productivity and getting things done and always, reaching the goal and then trying to get to the next goal as quickly as I possibly can. And there's
Yeah.
no time, right? There's no time to stop and celebrate. You're on this timeline, there's deadlines, like come on, like success is waiting, right? And
Yes.
so I think that that's
Absolutely.
something that a lot of yeah, like I think that's something that a lot of us um possibly women entrepreneurs in the online space really struggle with because we see amazing people like Ashley Gordon and all these other women like making these huge transformations and evolving in their businesses. And on so many levels, I think we want the same thing, right? But you've said it before, Ash, like we need to honor our journey and our pace and our flow.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's why it's so hard sometimes because we live in this culture that's saturated by hustle and
Mhm.
more, more, more. It's hard to
Sure you've
disengage from that.
I'm sure you've heard the quote that's like, the journey is the destination. I
Yes.
love that quote so much because it just puts me like right in the moment. I'm like, oh, I'm here. I've arrived. Okay. I'm successful. Yay. Like,
Yes. Yes. And I think that's one of the things that I struggle with too, Ash. We're shining a lot of light on the things that I struggle with. But like, is that success exists somewhere outside of this present moment, somewhere outside of where I'm at right now. And does it? Like, we can have these bigger goals, right? But we really truly have to honor and celebrate what is going good today.
mm,
How am I evolving and growing today? What am I doing that's helping me in that growth, helping me in this evolution today? Because you are you're doing good things, like that
right.
you're
Doing
you know
amazing. So
yes.
I want to just say this, like I think it's actually really refreshing to hear you share about this stuff because I think so many people come on podcasts and they're like, I've made it, like I'm here, like, and it's almost like to the audience they could be put on a pedestal of like,
Mhm.
I'm more successful than you are, right? But ultimately, like that's just not true because it just depends on what success is measured by altogether.
Yes,
So
yes.
what is your knowing you, like who you are now, like what is your success measured by? Oh,
Oh, that is such a good question.
got a ding on that one.
Yes, I know, I'm like ding ding ding. Yes, great question, Ash. Oh my gosh. Again, I'm really because okay, let me just be flat out honest with you and your audience. I'm not where I want to be financially in my business right now. I'm not. After 7 years of being a coach, like I do wish, I do want to be somewhere else. Right.
Hold on. Raise your hand if you're listening and you can relate to this right now. Raise your hand really high so we can see it. Whoop, whoop. Okay. Let's all just be real with ourselves now. Okay. Got it.
Right. Yeah. But so I'm trying to work on untethering and unhooking my success being defined by that number. Because truth be told, Ash, I don't know when I'm going to reach that number. I'm going to work to reach that number, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Right?
What's your number?
Dude, consistent 5K months. That's what I want. Consistent 5K months. I would be head over heels. Like that could truly transform my life. That's my next goal. And so, but if I'm hooked into that, right? Like if I'm hooked into, okay, success has to look like 5K months, then I'm like sabotaging, what success can look like today.
Right.
It's about holding that vision and holding that idea for yourself, but not allowing it to steal your joy from your daily business. You know what I mean?
Say that one more time because that's really profound and everyone really needs to hear that.
It's about holding that vision for yourself and that goal for yourself without allowing it to steal the joy from you on a daily basis.
Yes.
So like that is how I want to define my business and success is I want to feel as much joy as possible. And that's available to me. That's what's cool about this definition of success is that I can access my joy every single day. I know how to do that for myself. I can do that through walking. I can do that through journaling. I can do that through sending an email to my list. I can do that by reaching out to clients that I'm working with and checking up on them. Like there are ways in which that I can do that. So that in and of itself is so, so powerful. So I really try to define success based on feelings that I have access to, like joy and empowerment. Because if you're feeling the way that you want to feel, I feel like success is it's unconditional. Yes.
Right. It's unconditional. It's inevitable.
Exactly.
Younger, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And I feel like it's so connected. Like it's so relatable to so many people listening right now. Like I know that this is really landing. And when I was younger, I had like these big dreams of being famous. Like I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to model. I wanted to act. Like I wanted to be on like the Disney Channel. Like I feel like every kid has that dream.
Right.
But as I started to get older, like I used to beg my mom, take me to New York, like please, please, please. Anyway, we went a couple times, but I got, rejected here and rejected there and this, whatever. And then when I was like 16, 17, 18, I started to like learn about manifestation. I saw a Facebook status that I wrote and I wrote, fame is a state of mind. Fame is a state of mind.
Whoa.
Right. And I feel like we can put that for success. Like success is a state. It's a state of being.
Yes, exactly. Success is a state of being. Okay, that just feels so light and so expansive. Wow. Yes, exactly. Versus like success has to look, like whatever.
5K, 10K months, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that just feels good. And when it feels good, I feel like it's, we're going to reach those goals. If we're feeling the way that we want to feel, we're going to reach those goals quicker and with more ease rather than slogging through the mud to get to that next thing or hustling or burning out, which I have had lots of experience in.
Right? That's your feminine coming through.
Exactly.
And I think that both are important, like having that balance of like, okay, you know what your goals are. You're going to do whatever it takes to take action on those goals. And at the same time, you're going to be in a state of joy, like you said, and like tapping into your joy, doing everything you can to feel successful in this moment, to become that magnet for success while you're taking the action. Because when you're taking the action, like what's the energy you have behind what you're doing?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think more often than not, it needs to feel good. You know, it's not going to feel good like 100% of the time, right? Like sometimes we're going to have to be working our fucking ass off and it's going to feel like a struggle. But can we lean into it feeling easy more often, right?
Right.
That's something that, you know, I'm always like, it has to be hard. Like my dad, like I have him in my head, like, work your ass off, Ash. Like it has to be hard. You have to have, you know, work this many hours a week and blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yeah.
But that's only one way to reach success. That's one option. That's not every option and every way to be successful.
So true. And if you think about that, like I love that you use the example of your dad, because so many of us are operating from these belief systems and we don't even know where they're coming from, but they're coming from our parents and their belief that how did your dad get that belief system? Who do you think
Right.
programmed him for that?
His
His
dad.
parents.
Yes.
Right. And think about the world that they lived in then and how different it was and how that was so true for them.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not so true for us anymore.
Right. Like we get to, thankfully, create our own reality
Right.
around that, you
We get
know?
to like be on podcasts and have like deep conversations and make money from it. Like,
Yes, exactly. It looks a lot different, right? And you're exactly right, Ash. We do just unconsciously take on excuse me, these belief systems and start to live them out. And it's hard to like notice them and create a new belief system and a new neural pathway that really aligns with what it is that you want, right? Because that's what my dad wants. My dad wants me to like hustle and burn out. And that's what hard work looks like. That's what success looks like for him. So here I am like, doing all the things that my dad, you know, showing him how, you know, I'm successful. And in the meantime, I'm like exhausted, you know, have no time for my family, like,
yeah.
right? Nothing that I truly want. So yeah.
And when we were kind of like talking about, you know, releasing some of that shame and jealousy around building your business, comparing yourself to others, like, do you feel like that's where do you think the shame comes from like past generational beliefs, or do you think that it could just come up from just like seeing other people doing their thing?
I think it's both. I think, well,
Yeah.
at least for me, I think it's been both because I come from a long line of entrepreneurs and small business owners who have like worked their asses off for the success that they have. Like my dad's dad, my dad, and then many of my cousins, right, have successful businesses. So I think that you know, that definitely plays a part. And then, you know, with, as we all know, with social media and being exposed to so many amazing, successful people out there, it can definitely spark shame as well.
What's your definition of shame in this instance?
I would say like the word that comes up for me is like derailed. Like there was a feeling of like heaviness, right? So there's a feeling part of it, but then also shame, in my experience, has derailed me from my path. At least that's how I've experienced it. So anything,
Go ahead. No, keep going.
so anything that discourages me from staying on my path in my business. Yeah. What were you going to say, Ash?
I was going to say, when you said that, I thought you were going to say something else with the P word. And I heard power. Staying in your power.
Yes.
On your path.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Because isn't that what shame does, right? It
Right.
strips you of that power in a heartbeat, in an
Mhm.
instant, right?
So then you need to ask
Ooh.
yourself, what am I making this mean about me?
Mm-hmm.
I think,
What am I making this mean about me? Um, you know, what do I want? I think that's another question that I mean, it's so
simple.
we don't ask ourselves that enough. Like, what is it? What do I want? Right? Am I living based on what my dad wants for me or what Ash is doing? So I need to follow that lead, or am I doing what I want in my business?
Mm.
Yeah,
I
I think
think that's so powerful because I've actually polled people and I said, do you write down what you want?
yes.
And I don't mean a to-do list, right? Like what do I want to accomplish, but like what do you want out of this month, out of this life, out of this year? Like what do you want? Yeah, so powerful.
Oh my gosh, so good. So good. Yeah, I want lots of road trips in a camper one day.
Oh,
Yeah, and lots of walks on a daily basis and time in nature, right? Like, yeah, what do you want? What are you building your business for?
right.
You know?
I think that question has literally brought me to my freaking knees. Like that
Yeah.
question, like in those moments of extreme burnout, when
Mhm.
you're so, when I've been so like disconnected from what am I doing this for?
Right. Oh my gosh.
What am I even doing this for? Like, I'll go to like get Reiki or a bodywork session and I'll just like start crying. And I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Like, why do I burn myself out like this? Like, what do I even do this for? And then I have to come all the way back to my why, which feels really far away at that point. Right.
Yeah.
But that question, why do I even do this for? It kind of just like, I don't know, it does something to me.
Yeah. No, it can snap you right back into
Right?
yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things, that I suggest too, and I try to do when I find myself in that shame or jealousy is like, what is my mission? Like, come back to that mission.
Yeah.
Come back to your why.
Yeah.
Recenter yourself and reground yourself into your why, not somebody else's why.
Totally. I love that so much.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because I've been thinking a lot about that recently. And,
Yeah.
my grandfather passed away recently and then my dad passed away recently. And it's just been like a lot of loss and like just the fertility journey that I'm on. It just feels like a lot of loss. And my grandmother is coming down this weekend. I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to go pick her up and I'm going to bring her to my house. Cause she's like, I'm so bored. Like her life was my grandfather,
Yeah.
and she's never in her life had a facial. Never. She's 89. Never had a facial.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I scheduled her like a spa treatment and for her to get a facial. And I'm like, this is why. This is why I'm doing what I do. Like, this is what I want to spend my money on. Like, I feel so fucking excited about that.
Yes. And I feel your excitement right now. I'm like, nobody can see me, but you guys, I'm like, hands up in the air, like celebrating, like, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Ash.
That's what we're talking about here.
That is what
Yeah.
we're talking about. And I think that is it can just be so helpful and so powerful when we find ourselves attached to those numbers, attached to those metrics. Come back to that why, come back to that mission. What do you want?
Mm.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you when you're in the thick of it? For someone listening, like you're in the thick of it and you're like, okay, like you're just, I don't know. What does it feel like to you? What does it look like to you? And how do you disrupt that for yourself?
Oh, this is such a great question. The first thing I do, Ash, honestly, is I allow myself to go there. I allow myself to feel it. I allow myself to be like, oh, I'm like so fucking jealous right now. I stop my feet. Like, I just allow myself to feel the emotion that is coming up for me without allowing myself to spiral into it and make it and over identify with it, right? Like, I am shame or I am a bad person or anything like that. I allow myself to just feel the emotion because I feel like this is where so many of us get stuck right off the bat. we don't want to feel jealous. Like
No.
it's a bit, I'm often too proud for that. I'm like, no, right? Like
Yeah,
we don't want to allow.
same. And I love that you said you allow yourself to feel it too. Just side note, like I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. Like I'm not a jealous person. What are you talking about? Like
It's not a, yeah, it's
that
not a
feeling
fun
is
emotion.
so dark. I don't like it.
It really, it sucks. It really sucks. It does. It does. But there is, again, we've been using this word so often during this conversation, but there is so much power behind allowing yourself to feel it because you allow yourself to process it. It's like, I talk to my clients a lot about this, like the emotional metabolism, right? Like we have to metabolize and process the emotions that are coming up. And if you don't, that jealousy, that shame, that emotion is going to manifest in your body in one way or another, or it's going to rear its ugly head again down the line, and it's going to be bigger, it's going to be bolder, it's going to be more intense. So that's what I do initially, is I just allow myself to feel that jealousy and process it, whether that's through a walk. Oftentimes I have to process it in my body, right? So some
Yeah.
sort of movement. And I often suggest that to my clients as well, as like really move the physical energy through yoga, a walk, anything, even just like deep
Screaming.
stretching. What?
Yeah. Screaming.
Yeah, screaming, like really anything. Um,
Yeah. It's
and
like
then
if it's unexpressed in the physical body, like you said, it'll stay. It'll just
it'll
stay there.
it'll stay, and it's going to come out in one way or another, right? You're going to snap at your partner, it's going to manifest, as a block in your business.
Yep.
It has to do something. Like
Mm.
that energy has to do something, right? So you might as well move it and feel it, and process it and let it go. And then, I do a lot of journaling.
Mm.
That's another way for me to process that I highly recommend. I mean, I'm a huge journaler, have been since I was 14, and it's like my therapy. So journaling is really helpful. And then just like we've talked about, coming back to that why, coming back to what do I want? What is my mission? And sometimes this can take a full day. Sometimes this can take a week.
Mhm.
So I just want to put that out there, because some situations are take a little bit more time, right? And sometimes we expect ourselves to just get over it really quick, but that's not always possible. So like give yourself that compassion and that time to really move through it. Yeah.
I love that you said that some people just want to move through it super quick. And I think that a lot of people that are newer to manifestation are like, oh, I don't want to feel it because I don't want to manifest that. But it's actually
Oh,
the opposite. If
yeah.
we don't feel it, well, we're going to suppress it. And when we suppress it, we recreate it. It's going to resurface, like exactly like you said. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
important to know that you're not going to manifest something you don't want by allowing yourself to release the emotion.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yes, Ash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, the last kind of piece that is so important is that, and I already said it, but I'm going to say it again because it really is that important, is just meeting yourself with that compassion,
Mm.
being kind to yourself. Like, you are a human being experiencing a lot of things in this world, processing a lot, dealing with stressful situations. We have
People.
to, yes, yeah, we have to, you know, find some kindness, meet ourselves with the kindness that we so generously give our clients and our friends and our family members. We have to learn to, give ourselves that compassion back.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Compassion is such an interesting energy, right? Like it's something that I've learned recently, like in the last couple of years, honestly. Like I didn't know what compassion truly meant,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It is hard for me. It is hard for me because a lot of the times I'm just like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, like move on, okay, lesson learned, go. But it's the difference between me spending time beating myself up in that inner critic of like, oh my gosh, Ash, here you go again, going down that jealousy spiral. Oh my gosh, like here you go again, getting off track, doing this, doing that. It is the difference of making progress in my business or not. Right?
Yeah.
It's one path or the other. If I'm able to meet myself with compassion, I am so much more apt to be like, all right, girl,
you did good today.
We're good. Yeah. Like, let's keep going. We got this.
Yeah,
Right. Like,
it's the difference in your inner dialogue that's like, yeah, I'm cheering you on, girl. And then the other side is like, pull up all your bootstraps, let's go.
Exactly, Ash. Yeah, it truly, that has probably been one of the most transformational practices for myself.
Yeah.
In my business.
Yeah. Because it's interesting, like when we're locked into one of those emotions, like if we're locked into competition, we're locked out of compassion. And if we're locked into compassion, then we're locked out of competition. So what do you want to be locked into? Right?
Okay. I've never heard that before. And that is amazing. I'm like, where's my pen and paper?
Locked into something and we're locked out of something else.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just like, my mind is like that little emoji right now. Yeah. That is so good. But that is so true. Right. And that's what I'm talking about with like the over identifying too. Like, I feel like sometimes we can get like, start over identifying with blame and shame and jealousy and I'm this and I'm that. Yeah. We just get locked in. Yeah. What do you want to get locked into?
Right.
I love that, Ash.
I love this conversation. This is so powerful. Thank you so much for just diving into this topic that I don't believe is talked about enough. I know that you probably share about it more on your podcast, and everyone should go listen if this is really resonating. And we'll share everywhere where they can connect with you. But I have to ask, what makes you a badass manifester, Ashley?
Oh my gosh, what makes me a badass manifester? Okay, can I call myself a badass manifester? Yes, I can. I think what makes me a badass manifester is my ability to be vulnerable and real and brave with my life. I think that that's what makes me a badass manifester. I think growth and success and creating the life of your dreams takes courage and it takes vulnerability and it takes taking risks and putting yourself out there and feeling all the feelings, right? Like, and I think for the most part, I'm able to do that. Yeah.
You're amazing. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Ashley, where can everyone find you and connect with you and all the things?
Yes. So my business name is uniqueholistichappiness.com. So that's my website. You guys can go over there. Right now you can get the first 30 pages of my Happy as Fuck Happiness Journal for free, which includes 10 of the daily pages of the happiness habits that have been proven to increase your happiness. So you guys can go over there, sign up for my newsletter and test drive that. And then I hang out on Instagram. So I'm over there at Ashley Looker. So come hang out with me.
That's so nice that they get the first 30 pages free. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. It's like one of my favorite things that I've created. So
awesome. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. So grateful that you're here. And we hope that you guys have a great day. Go crush the day.
Yay. Bye, you guys. Thank you, Ash.
Woo! We did some work today. Thank you so much for listening. You know I love my BAM fam. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too, because we live for the ripple effect over here. And how can you best support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit the 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes, and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot the episode and tag me and my guests on Instagram at ManifestWithAsh. Now say it with me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. We don't just talk about it over here. We be about it. Now go get 'em.